Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm trying to make more of an effort to post more consistently, not regularly, but consistently this year, she says, after saying that last year. But you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Um, Welcome to 2025. How was your Christmas? How was your New Year? Mine was all right. It's a weird one because my sister was with her partner this year and not at home, so it felt a bit weird, but it was still all right. Today is my sum up of my publications from 2024. Really exciting. I think I had about 24 publications in the end, which was massive, massive improvement on 2023 actually, because I only had 5 publications that year. So I would like to still aim for about 20 publications this year, but we'll see because my phone's going off. It's something about Greg Wallace. So I am kind of wondering if I'm going to veer more towards longer but still short fiction this year, and if so, like novellas, novelettes. If so, my career will take a bit of a trajectory, but we'll see. We'll see. I spoke about things like this in a video from last year now, so watch that if you want to. Today I'm just going to go through all of my published works from 2024, a bit about them, where you can find them, that sort of thing. Sorry if I'm fidgeting weirdly. This shirt I've had since university, so good 10 years. And I put it on and realised it's a bit tight on my arms and my shoulders, and it's just really upsetting because it still kind of fits, but it's more restricted than I expected it to be. But I've had this a very long time, which is sad. And it was a charity shop one before that. So my first piece that was published in 2024, on the 24th of January actually, was Do Dreams Count as Liminal Space, which was a sort of dreamscape fiction stream of consciousness thing, and it was very much inspired by a dream I had where me and one of my friends were in Budapest and we got on a shrimp boat, shrimp cruise, and we hadn't paid. My friend's vegetarian. I don't eat shrimp a lot. I eat a bit, but not a lot. And we ended up on this cruise, and we wanted to get off, and they wouldn't let us off. And we kept going, we haven't paid. And they were like, it was too late now because you're on the cruise. And then one of my managers was there, and she was getting really irate at these films that don't exist. Anyway, it was all inspired by weird dreams that I've had. And for some reason, Audrey, who's the editor-in-chief of Genre Punk magazine, where it's published, liked it so much they put it up for Best of the Net. I don't get it. But I was so incredibly honoured by that, so excited, and I do really like the piece. It's a weird little one, but I think it's fun. My second piece of the year for 2024 was published on the 31st of January in ebook and then the 2nd of February in paperback form, and it is Necropolis, which is published in Broken Olive Branches. So this is a charity anthology raising money to support people in Palestine. And it's entirely horror anthology. My piece, there she is. So this piece is it was imagined in the Glasgow necropolis, obviously, and it's about these two sisters called Alexina and Priscilla, and about something's happened to the younger sister, and so Alexina has to go and find her. I quite enjoy the piece. Even though it's inspired by the Glasgow necropolis, I find graveyards, and particularly the Glasgow necropolis, to be very, very calming. I really enjoy going for walks around them. But sometimes you just have a want to write something set in a cemetery. My third piece of the year that was published was called Marminil, and that's published by the Periwinkle Pelican Lit Mag. So I believe it's just online as a PDF on their website. So I had published a piece with them in 2023 called Mermin, which is a sort of medieval set mermaid story. and Marminil was like the brother piece to it, whereas Mermin is featuring, I think, only female characters. This one is very firmly centered on a male character called Corda, who is a Marminil, which is a male mermaid, and I really like that piece. It's one of my more favoured pieces that I've written. The ending just guts me, but it was the only logical ending for me. But I really like that piece. It was published on the 10th of February, and I would really appreciate if you went and read it. The next piece was called You Have 8 Minutes to Live, and it was published by Nightshade Lit, but they've changed their name now. I believe it's Ink and Ivy Lit, because I know there's a press with a similar name. I'm pretty sure it's Ink and Ivy. So it was published on the 25th of February, and this one, I wrote it for a very specific submission call and it didn't get picked up. So while it was inspired specifically by this one video, it really, to me, gave off more of like an not Alvin and the Chipmunks, it was inspired by an Alvin and the Chipmunks video, but it really is reminiscent to me of Silence of the Lambs, and just that utter panic, fear of being chased. It was quite difficult to write, I remember, but I'm quite happy that it's found a home. It's not one of my favourite ones because it does make me feel really like anxious and panicked every time I read it, which is good, but also I don't like it. So on the 3rd of March, I had a piece published called You Are in Love, which was published by Major 7 magazine. So Major 7 magazine does this literary mixtape where they publish, I think it's every week, a mixtape of pieces inspired by songs. So my song was You Are in Love by Taylor Swift. And it's just a nice little flash fiction piece. It's a journal that I really wanted to be included in, and it's the second piece that I wrote for that. Completely different song the first time, but I really liked it. It's really soft and slow, and I do like dabbling in romance writing occasionally, which is quite funny as an asexual person, possibly aromantic, but I do quite like dipping in and out of romance occasionally. So one of my favourite ever pieces was published by Loft Books on the 14th of March, and that's a piece called Venus, which talks about asexuality and the goddess Aphrodite. And I remember very specifically writing this. My sister and her partner had been out to like a 6-course taster menu like a few weeks before, and I was really jealous, so I booked myself one in London. And while I was doing this taster menu, I got this idea and I had to like write it down, and I think they thought I was like a reviewer or something, because they started getting really weird with me after that point. But no, I was just writing about Aphrodite. But I really love that piece. I do have a video on their YouTube channel as well, which is me reading the piece aloud. But also, published by Loft Books. I love that piece. It's one of my favourites. The next piece I wrote, which was published, was Belladonna, which was published by Dark Winter Lit on the 21st of March. I had a load really up, like, close together, and then a bit of a slow period, and then like I have like a week in October where I had like 7 pieces published. But this piece, Belladonna, was inspired by a different lit mag too who published it. They had like these word banks, and you had to pick one and get all the words of the story in, which was really fun. And I was gutted that they didn't pick it up, but I'm so glad that it did get picked up because I really like that piece. It's a playful little piece. It's still horror, but it's like playful with it. Little flash fiction. Really, really pleased with it. The next piece that I had published in 2014 was published... No, 2024. Sorry, I don't know why I keep doing that at the minute. I think I'm trying to hark back to a better time. But the next piece that was published in 2024 was a piece called Love Long Lost, which is in this beautiful horror anthology called It Always Finds Me by Querencia Press. I hope I've said that right. I'm not convinced, but I hope I've said it right. I really like this anthology because it's so well like themed. Oh, it is that. It's this piece here. I love it. It's set in an abandoned cinema. I love cinemas. I've worked in cinemas for a long time. And even though it's horror, it's just like a nice little gentle horror. Like nothing actually happens to the reader. It's just a nice little gentle horror. It's one of the things I really love. It was inspired by an Icebreakers lit piece as well. I had the idea for the location, and then I wanted to play with the location myself. So that's that piece. My next piece that was published in April was on the 30th of April, and that's a piece called I Am an Anglerfish, which is like an auto-fictitious piece. It was published by the Hoogly Review, which at the time I was like incredibly proud of because they were voted one of the best lit mags of 23. And they were really great to work with. I had such a good time working with them. And I Am an Anglerfish was very much like an autofiction piece written about my disability and how I feel about disability and the stigma that comes with disability, and it's very important to me. So on the 5th of May, Suburban Witchcraft magazine published my piece In Between the Mushrooms and Moss I Lay Here, which is a piece about the Fae. It's very inspired by Celtic folklore, Welsh and a little bit of Irish, and I wrote it on shift at work. I remember I was meant to be doing something else. It was me like frantically scribbling down about fairy rings and stuff, and I wanted to take a folkloric element and bring it, like, give it a twist, which I think I did with that one. And also Miriana, I'm not entirely sure how to say the name, I apologise, but they were incredible to work with as well. So lovely, so supportive of my work as well. It was great to work with them. And then really excitingly in May, Alien Buddha Press published my book. This is my book. She's tiny, she's small, she's a great read at any time. I will say though, if there's a lot of trigger warnings for this book, and I realise now that I don't have a trigger warning in the book. I thought I had put one in, but I obviously didn't. It is on Storygraph and on Goodreads. There is a list of all the triggers, but like there's a lot of death, there's murder, death of a child is referenced, there's sexual assault. It's quite a lot. It's quite intense. That being said, it is a really quick read. It's only about 100 pages. 106 pages. 106 pages. So if you would like to pick it up, read it, that'd be fantastic. It's on Amazon. I would say it's great though, I wrote it, so, but it's not, so can't just take my word for it. Saffron Mysteria from Booked loved it as well, so. Next piece that was published was a tiny like drabble piece called Vampire, and that was published by Memezine because there was this whole thing that went down on Twitter about one person had 50 publications in a year, and someone was like, oh, it's all slop, so they did a slop issue and they took Vampire for it, which is a great issue. I don't get why there's so much negativity in the writing community. There's no need for it, is there? But yeah, that was that piece. Little, again, it's about disability. A lot of my work at one point centred around my disability. I went through quite a lot of up and downs with my health last year. And then after that, a piece was published by Litmora. It was my second piece with Litmora. I think they're great to work with. It was part of Tabby's Flash Tuesdays on the 11th of June, and it was called There Are No Heroes Anymore, and it centres around this chef who has this awful day at work. It's literally a very short piece again. A lot of pieces that I write are in flash fiction pieces, or like inspired by really tight word counts, so I find it, after I've written and it's in there, I find it really hard to expand them because it feels like it was only ever meant to be a moment, and this is literally a moment in that chef's life. The worst moment, but a moment. And then I had a bit of a gap for a while, and then I had, like, in about a week, something like just over a week, a ridiculous amount of publications. And the first one of that was Family Line, and this was published by the Expressionist Lit Mag on the 28th of September, which again is about disability and family and changing perceptions. I really love that piece. It's very vulnerable, but I really love that piece. The 30th of September ended up with a publication on that day as well, and that was with Partially Shy Lit Mag, who are really sweet. They're really sweet people, great editors to work with. And that piece was called Princess Tartar, inspired by Princess Cake, which is my favourite cake in all of the world. And now that I have found a bakery in London that does it, I've spent so much money just on Princess Cake, I cannot tell you. But that's to do with like, that's a very personal piece again. Disability, layers of a Princess Cake. I have to say, like, Sweden's not my favourite country to visit, but they knew what they were doing with Fika. And then on the 1st of October, I had this piece published by Hearth and Coffin in their Gossip Horror issue, and the piece is called So Cringe, and it's set up through blog posts, which it was so much fun to write. I really wanted to be part of that issue, and I wrote it and I was like, oh, they're not going to like it, because I didn't necessarily like it when it was done, but I was like, you have to stop looking at it, just send it, what will be will be. It was the first place that it was sent, and they picked it up straight away, so it was fantastic. And it's set up through blog posts, and it's the story of this friendship group, and how it all disintegrates, which really took me back to my own teenage years, and like, you would blog, or live journal was quite big back then. It's like, it's when people talk about fan fiction now as well. They talk about Wattpad, they talk about like AO3, and I was writing fan fiction on fanfiction.net. Like, I feel ancient now, but it's what it is. It's so much more today that I thought. It really is taking the wind out of me. I don't know why. So the next piece was called Free Recovery, Await Rescue, which was inspired when I was on the motorway and I saw a sign saying that. This is a piece I really love because I really love the main character of Hilda Vale, and I was gutted because it was picked up for publication in a different journal, and the journal ended up closing, I believe, so it was orphaned, and I was so glad that Davi took a chance on it. It's in this beautiful issue 777. There's me on the back. Where am I? See me? I forgot I had stickers in this one. And there she is. I really enjoy it. I would, but it is one of the pieces that I really enjoyed writing. I always enjoy writing stuff with like a supernatural bend, and I'm glad to have my own little ghost story out there. So on the 2nd of October, I told you this was a really big week for me. On the 2nd of October, I had a piece published in this beautiful horror anthology. So this is Midsummer, if you didn't get that, the film with Florence Pugh. And this is the Alien Buddha's House of Horrors #7. So Alien Buddha Press are also the people who published the Mrs. Liberius. So that was nice to work with Red again. And here is my piece. It's called New Wounds, and it was inspired. I wrote it as a call for an anthology to do with body horror. It is a body horror piece, but it's more so about overcoming abuse. It can be quite triggering, that piece, but I'm really proud of it, and I think it was an important one to write. After that, I had another short piece published that week as well, on the 7th of October, by the Zinnia Journal, and that piece was called In Another Life, which is about the branches your life could have taken if you'd made different choices, and like alternate realities I like to imagine my other selves would be living. This was another piece that was orphaned, and I'm really glad that it found a home, because I felt like out of all of them, that one deserved a home. That was the most like marketable but also relatable, and it was one that when people read it, they were like, I really enjoyed that made so much sense to me. So I'm glad that it did find a new home. I am somehow losing light, and it's 2 o'clock. I should have done this earlier, or sat in a different way. I don't know why the window is there. Why have I done this? I look like a horror villain or something. I don't. Anyway, we're nearly done, and I'll let you go. Okay, so the next piece after that was published on the 22nd of October, and it's called The Lakes. And this was published in There's a Haint in That There Holler charity anthology, which raises money for people who were affected by Hurricane Helene, in, I believe it was North Carolina and Appalachia. I do want to get a physical copy of it at some point, but right now I'm not in the best employment situation, and the shipping's like £22 to the UK. So I will get one at some point. I don't have one just yet. I have the ebook. And the piece is called The Lakes, and it's inspired by the Lake District and writing retreats. And I had so much fun writing that. I was really upset that no one wanted it until it was scooped up for this horror anthology, and I'm glad that it could go towards doing some good. Then I don't know if this necessarily counts, but I'm putting it in because I'm so glad I got into this anthology in some way, and that's the Cursed Cooking Anthology by Cat Eye Press, which I really loved the concept of, like recipes as well as stories. I really want to get a physical copy of that as well, but right now I don't have the money. But I have a recipe in there, which is an easy chocolate mousse cake. It is ridiculously easy, to the point I'm now considering doing different bases rather than the cake part that I normally do. It was my aunt's wedding cake. It wasn't her actual wedding cake, but she requested to have it at her wedding. So now it's that one recipe that I've become known for, even though I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's my best recipe. But people love it, so make the cake. It's ridiculously easy. And if you're in the UK, like, you can just like melt down dairy milk into it. It's fantastic. Okay, so we're on the home stretch. We've got 3 to go. 3 to go. I'm recording this at the beginning of December, because I've got time to do it now, so I'm just doing it now because I'm hopefully going to be properly employed when it comes to January. But I just want to get it done now, and I don't see me having any more publications after this last one. Okay, I've just had like in the space of about 5 days, 3 new publications, and then I reckon this is it for the year. But I had a publication in Minimag on the 29th of November, and that piece was called I Don't Know Who I Am, and that's just basically me word vomiting onto a page, and Alex liked it and published it. It's genuinely the most vulnerable thing I've ever written, and I reread it and had a panic attack, and which wasn't fun, but it's very much a window into my psyche, and I feel very vulnerable. After I published it, I was immediately like, oh god, what have I done? But I think it's good to push yourself out of your comfort zone, which is what I did with that piece. And then on the 1st of December, I had a piece published by Y2K Quarterly, which is the most like ridiculously intricately themed journal I've ever seen. It's incredible. You have to check them out. I don't know how she's done it, but my piece was called I Want to Go Home, and it's talking about the longing of childhood, and I specifically talk about the summer of 2008, and about like the safety of childhood and how you can't return to a previous time. Very sweet little piece, nostalgic, longing sort of. I like it. And then ending the year with my last published piece, which was called Leica, which I wrote months and months ago. I wrote it in something like April or May, and I loved that piece. It was my favourite piece, and it was the most rejected piece I've ever had, but I don't understand why, because I had so many people being like, oh, I love this, but it's just not quite right. I love this, it's so close, it was long listed, I just missed out. I was like, why does no one want Leica? Because it's genuinely one of my favourite pieces I've ever written, and I really thought it was so good. But thankfully, Bright Flash Literary Review have liked it, and they published it on the 3rd of December, and I'm so grateful to them because I really like my little piece about Leica the space dog. It's not just about Leica, it's also about the trauma of girlhood, but I liked it, and I hope you like it as well. So thank you for listening to me rambling for like 20 minutes about all my published pieces. There were quite a lot there. I do have a few pieces already to come out this year. I think only one of them has a date, but a few pieces I'm quite excited about. The pieces that I really love. I really worked hard. I mean, obviously you work hard on everything you do as a writer, but these pieces really mean something to me, and I'm really hoping like to get more into reviewing and more like film criticism and stuff this year as well. So hopefully we'll see a bit more of that this year. And I would love to publish another book. So if there's any publishers listening, watching, please publish my books. Please. Please. They're really good. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon. Goodbye.